Next up is Grandbear and Pearl. This is a storytelling team. Lev Ropes, who is Grandbear, has told stories in the schools for years, and in October started teaming up with Pearl Wilson. And I just think it's been a match made in heaven. It's been a great duo. So they are telling a story tonight that is new to the two of them, and they are recording tonight. Their hope is to show this to the local and hopefully the national chapters of Spellbinders, because they want people to learn that you don't just tell stories to children, you tell them with children. So let's welcome Lev Ropes and Pearl Wilson, Grandbear and Pearl. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
No, I'll be okay.
What?
Thank you.
I'm not a morning person, let's just say that.
Well, not too long ago. Well, no, actually long ago. This one is. Way back. Kind of far away. There was a tailor in a village. He made really high-class stuff. He made fine clothes for the wealthy. And he had a son, a young son who worked with him as an apprentice. And the son was getting better and better, and the son had a dream that when he was old enough and saved enough money, he would buy himself some nice material and make himself the finest coat. Well, finally that time came. And he went to the village where you buy the materials, and he looked, and there was just the right cloth. It was wool gray with magenta and gold stripes in it. And he bought it. And at night he would work when his father was asleep. He would measure and cut and sew and measure and cut and sew and fix and design and work hard night after night after night. Finally, the coat was done. And the next morning he surprised his father. He put on that coat and he walked out. And he said, "Look, Father." The father was astounded. He said, "That is beautiful, son." He looked at the seams, at the cuffs, at the work. He said, "You are now a tailor, a fine tailor in your own right." Well, he wore that coat all the time. He wore it and he wore it and he wore it all around town. He was very proud of it, and it was good advertising. One day, he was gone to the plaza, and a storm came up. All of a sudden, cold. And he saw Anna across the way. And she only had a fine, small scarf on. And gallantly, he took his coat off and put it over her. And they ran to her house laughing. And because we don't have too long an evening to make a long story short, a courtship ensued. And they got married.
We now had our very own tailor shop, and we lived right above it. And Joseph wore his coat, and he wore it, and he wore it, and he wore it, until one day I finally had to tell him, "Joseph, that old coat is really looking bad. It's frayed all around the bottom. A man in your business should not be seen wearing it."
I think you're right. She's right. Old coat, you've been so important to me. You made my father proud. You helped me find Anna. I can't stand to throw you away. I just can't. Maybe there's just enough to make a jacket.
And so he did. He cut, and he snipped, and he sewed, until he came out with a fine-looking jacket. And he wore it, and he wore it, and he wore it, until one day I finally had to tell him, "Joseph, that jacket is looking really bad. It has holes in the elbows. A man in your business should not be seen wearing it."
I guess you're right again. Darn it. But you are right, yes. But jacket, I can't stand to get rid of you. This cloth has been so important. Something means so much to me. I can't throw you away. Maybe. Maybe, just maybe, there's enough to make a vest.
So he did. He cut off the worn-out sleeves, and he attached pockets to the front. And he came out with a nice-looking vest. And he wore it, till one day I finally had to tell him, Joseph, you have to take off that vest. You've been wearing it since forever, and it's worn out, and it has holes in the pockets. A man in your business should not be seen wearing it.
I guess you're right. Again. But vest, I rocked our first child wearing you. The cloth has been so important to me. I can't stand to throw you away. Maybe, just maybe, there's enough to make a cap.
And so he did. He made a little cap with a bill in front to shade his eyes from the sun. But when he put it on, the bill just flopped in front of his face. So while he was figuring out a way to get the bill to stand up straighter, he put it on backwards. And he discovered he liked it that way. So he wore it into town, and the young men, they saw him and respected him and started wearing their caps backwards too. And that's what started the fad of boys wearing their caps backwards, I think. But anyway, he wore it and wore it till one day I finally had to tell him, Joseph, get that silly thing off your head. It's bad for business.
I guess you're right. But this cloth, it's been so important in my life and our life. I can't stand to throw you away. Maybe, just maybe, there's enough to make a bow tie.
And so he did. He made this little bow tie. And he wore it, and he wore it, until one day I finally had to tell him, Joseph, that bow tie, it's faded, it's limp, and you cannot wear it. End of story.
Okay, all right. You're right. Bow tie. All these years, this cloth has meant so much to me in all our lives. I can't stand to throw you away. Maybe there's just enough I can make a cover for a button, and I can put that old covered button on my new jacket, and that'll be fine. Before Anna could say anything, I decided I better take it off. And all was left is a little piece of cloth. Cloth, you have been so important to us. I can't stand to throw you away. Maybe there's enough, just enough, for the fabric of a story.
And a fine story he made out of it. And that is what we just told you.
Give me a hug.